Hi, and welcome to Tremco Live, where we're socially distant but technically connected. I am Marcy Tyler, the Director of Building Science for Tremco, and I am joined by my co-host.
And I'm Paul Hugelman, Marcy, you know that, the President of Tremco Construction Products Group, a terrific collection of brands, products, systems, and most of all people all over the world.
Most of all people, yeah, so if you guys have been checking in with us regularly in the month of July, we kicked it off with an independent special talking about those people that we get to represent, and we really do feel honored to be up in front of all of you each and every Friday. And then last week we kicked off our On the Road with Tremco, and we went to Nova Scotia. We had a lot of great guesses online, trying to figure out where in the world we were. This one I think was a little tougher for people, a little more centrally located, but
it's on my bucket list. Yeah. Maybe we could just do everything on my bucket list.
We should, for sure. So, but as always, we want to be able to share some content with all of you, talk about design challenges, talk to you about the situations that you face each and every day. With that, we like bringing on guests and content, so we got a few slides prepared for you, as always. So let's pull those up here so you take a look at it. So on the road with Tremco, where are we this week? Before we go there, Paul, before we go to where we are on the road this week, I wanted to talk a little bit about this topic specifically. We featured SecureRec Expert 430 last week. We were on the road up in Nova Scotia talking about how this really did solve a lot of design challenges and really was a great holistic approach for those projects. But we always talk about, when did this actually start? You know, when did we start having these conversations? When did we start the development of this system? So I did a little research.
Okay, I see 2015 up there.
Yes.
Was it 2015, Marcy?
Well, that's when we sent out the press release. So you know, when you send the press release out, you got to be way down the road.
Yeah.
Speaking of roads, we'd be way down the road with that system. Yeah. So I believe in some of the research we did, the conversation started back in 2010.
Wow. So 11 years. Yeah. And 5 years from the first conversation to that first press release.
Yeah. And I think that really, it tells a lot of the story. And I love featuring the picture there on the far right, you know, that Chicago downtown picture. It was interesting when we saw some of these first jobs, Paul, but to get there, you know, we were taking a fluid and pre-applying it in a factory setting, and we wanted it to have that consistency that we would expect from it, and it took a while to get there.
Yeah, I know when I went to visit the plant with Kristen, and I remember, you know, you're in an exterior jet plant, man, that stuff moves fast.
It does.
And you're like, okay, that's going to be a tremendous engineering challenge to your point. Yeah. Get that air barrier on there 100% right 100% of the time. So
absolutely.
Quite a collaboration with the team there.
Yeah, and you know, we went through a couple iterations trying to figure out exactly the right process to get it on the board, right? We started off initially spraying it, and I think the booth looked like, we used to say Cheetos exploded in that spray booth, right? So maybe the level of efficiency or consistency wasn't exactly what we wanted from a spraying application. So we decided to go with a roll coat process, which once again, if you think about getting a board and getting it coated with at least 20 mils of product, having to be uniform, having it dry appropriately, there's a lot that goes into that. And I think we still do it in 3 passes to get that nice uniform coverage.
Yeah, because it had never been done before, right? So there was understandably a lot of trial and error, a lot of different opinions on the right way to do things. Sort of like our test wall, right? Where we have opinions and then we get to fact. Yeah,
exactly. So a couple of these pictures here, Paul, this is Penn State. Worked on a project with Penn State early on. The middle one was Arkansas Children's Hospital. We had Gene Keaton on talking about that. And of course, the bird's eye view there of the Chicago skyline, working on one, which we thought was pretty appropriate. I also thought it'd be interesting to share, because I remember back in the day, Paul, when we were like, okay, we need a certain number of projects under our belt before we will launch, right? And so you're like waiting, and to see those first buildings was like amazing. I just chose a few, highlighted those states, as you can see there on the map. just because we either featured them on Tremco Live or we have case studies or videos on them. So there's obviously a lot more than what I featured here in some of these pictures, but I just thought they were interesting to talk about. Thought we'd put them on here and thought we'd introduce our segment with them.
Yeah, a lot of orange up there.
Yeah, we continue to see a lot of orange. So definitely, I would recommend checking out our website, the Tremco website, as well as just simply, if you just type in Securock XOR 430 and hit videos, a lot of these pictures under images, of course, video, and then videos are going to show up. Lots of great videos. Marquette there's a great video. That's the one up there on the top there in the dark. Love that video and love that picture. The Weston, we had that one right on the coast in, I believe it was in Wisconsin, but I think our guests will tell us if I'm wrong. California, Oregon, got one of our first projects was out in Oregon. We had a great relationship with a consultant out there, thought this was, a no-brainer. Took that chance. So certainly is not new any longer, right? I think we're always nervous about things that are new. It was never new. We just took our XOR 230, slight tweaks in order to get it factory applied and to you on that job site, pre-cured, ready to go.
Yeah, now there's quite a history, quite a number of case studies, applications. So to your point, it's both new and been around forever.
Yeah. Well, and it's great. I'm going to be working really closely with Vanessa Feldkamp and Corey Bendokis. They are the ones that support this product line on a regular basis. And if you are wanting to know what projects have been done near you, reach out to me because you'll have my email address, obviously, from watching the broadcast today. But I'm going to work really closely with my colleagues to connect you with those industry advocates that have been on jobs. Obviously, like I mentioned, some have already been featured on Tremco Live, but I bet no matter where you're located, there's an advocate that can talk to you about their experience. So. And, speaking of advocates, we do have two guests today, so I thought we could bring one of them on. He might look familiar to us all because he's been on Tremco Live before, and he is all over our videos. So Dante, welcome to Tremco Live. I should say, welcome back to Tremco Live.
How's it going, everybody? As I sit here in my quaint office with my pipe, and forgot my robe.
You forgot your robe? Darn it.
Yeah, how's it going?
Hi. So how are you?
I'm just living the dream, just trying to get out there and help some customers solve some problems. And I'm here in one of my customers' offices actually, so it's nice.
We haven't revealed the location yet.
Exactly.
Yes, good. I know. I don't know if you were listening as intently as you should, so I wanted to remind you. You know how I like to do that.
Yes, I've heard the same message from you once or twice in my career.
Well, Dante, I know you were right with us in the beginning with Securock XOR 430. You've been on this wonderful journey with us. I think you're great to have on today, and I'm excited to also feature your project and your customer. But tell us a little bit about your experience early on. We love talking about the history of this product, this system.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to. So I've been with Tremco since 2011, and one of the first major projects that I was fortunate enough to get to work on with a bunch of great people was the development of our Securock XOR 430. So in 2012, Marcy, when you were my boss, and I got called into your office with your boss at that point in time, and basically handed an envelope or a folder and said, here, you're going to manage this project from now on. So that was kind of my welcome to the club moment. And like I said, I worked with a bunch of great people. Some shout out to Pam Hernandez, Manir Mohammed, Jen Wadenful, and then my colleagues over at USG, Jim Ullett, Tim Kenny, Mike Shea, a bunch of great people. And there's even more than that. Those are just the group that I worked with early on in the development, where we had spent hours and hours and days and weeks trying to figure out how are we going to actually turn this concept into a reality. And luckily enough for me, I had a bunch of really smart people around me that could help us put this together, where we took our fluid applied membrane. USG is really great at making board and optimizing that process and coming together to make what we have today. For those of you that don't know, I'm not really in that technical role anymore. I've moved into a sales capacity. So now it's really cool to be on the other end in the mystery location that I'm at, seeing the work with my customers go up on the wall of something that I was so integral with the great group of people around me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. I know early on, I think you probably had a lot of flight segments to Chicago.
Yes, I feel like I halfway lived there for the early part of my career.
Exactly. Yeah. It was great. I know collaborating with them, working with them, it was nice. They'd come here, we'd go there. It wasn't that far if we had to drive. Testing was done in between, you know, in Goshen, Indiana. So it was very convenient, and I know it was a great time to work together. So Dante, you know, we're on the road with Tremco. That was our feature this month, or it is our feature this month. I gave a few clues online to kind of lead everyone to this. Had a lot of great guesses. No one got there until I think the last clue. So without further ado, let's take a look at those clues and your location. So I don't know if you saw the clues online or not, but here are the few clues that we were talking about. And I don't even know if you knew that cranberry actually is a group of evergreen dwarf shrubs. These are things we're learning.
All I know is you could put cranberry juice in vodka.
Yes, there you go. I figured that would be your connection for sure. I mean, the first clue could be so many locations, right? With a focus on cold weather, you know, cold winters and hot and humid summers could be Cleveland, Ohio. The second clue, I don't know if you've ever heard of Pittsburgh being known as the city of bridges.
Yep.
Did you ever hear that?
I have heard that.
Okay.
I don't know how many there are. Maybe
It said,
Dante, how many?
they say they have more than Venice.
I've driven over a lot of them, trying to drum up some business over this way, but I was just going to recite that comment, Marcy, that there are more bridges here than in Venice, which is underwater. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, so that was interesting to kind of learn that. So look, we'll learn some interesting facts along the way. And, featuring this area, I know this is part of your neck of the woods. This was something you've been wanting to do. You've been wanting to have this specific customer come on for a while now. So let's get Harry on.
Yes, we will.
There he is.
Here
He's
we
right
are. How are you?
Hi, Harry. Welcome.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yes, you too. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience in the industry, as well as your company.
Well, we started in 1986, and then we're an interior company, and we just grew ever since then. We do a lot of work in Pittsburgh area.
But you'll travel. I mean, you've done
We'll
jobs
travel.
in Cleveland. You've gone out east. Have you gone over to State College?
No, that's a little too far.
Okay. Okay.
I think Dante's heading there after we're done today, right?
That's where I'm headed. I was gonna see if I could drum up any business there for you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
How far of a drive would that be from where you guys are at?
From here, I'm not sure, but from Pittsburgh, it's about a little over 215, somewhere in that neighborhood. So unfortunately, by the time I get there, I probably won't be golfing tonight. I'll probably be just catching up on a bunch of emails.
Drinking wine.
Maybe.
Harry, what got you interested or introduced to Securic XR 430?
What Marcy was trying to say is, when we started this whole project, we actually started with interior with our peel and stick membrane.
It was 110.
Yeah, the XR 110 AT. So why don't you just kind of explain to everybody how we started from, you bidding it, we were basis of design with our impermeable peel and stick, and then how we got to today where we ended up with a permeable fluid applied, pre-applied air barrier system.
Yeah, it's when we started the job, the bidding process, it was the Dunn's glass and the pill and stick. But then we were worried about the time frame because they didn't have a lot of time to get the building secured and weathered in.
Yeah.
So I talked with Dante, and he assured me that the 430 would be a lot faster, which it turned out to be. And we already got area A and B and half a D, and we're working on C wing, which as quick as you can put the Dunn's glass up, which we replace with the XO Air 430, you're done. You do a little bit of caulking and maintenance on it, and you're done. You don't have to worry about going back. We love it.
So your line of work, you had sheathing, you were a sheathing installer and an air barrier installer already, so this just made a lot of sense to you.
Correct.
Perfect, good, yeah, because I know we've had different people that might not have had that, you know, the air barrier and experience, but the sheathing experience. So this is Harry, you're like the perfect customer for this, you know, with that level of experience with both.
And we're about 60,000 square feet of chipboard 430, right?
Correct.
Okay, so nothing to laugh at. I mean, this is a large size footprint job. I don't think the picture does great justice to how big it actually is, because there's other wings that you can't see in the photo. It's kind of like a big X, if you will, with all the different wings coming off of it, and there's a big auditorium in the center.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that on their website today, so I thought that was interesting. When Dante had given me a bunch of information, I'm like looking it up, and I'm like, there's the project. I know you gave me a few other pictures here. I like you have in these pictures where how the building is. You can see how you had to kind of do somewhat of a radius with this too, which I think some people don't realize you can accomplish with sheathing.
Correct. The sheathing been around really nice. I mean, it just, we were a little nervous at first that it was going to crack on us, but it bent right around.
Perfect. That's great.
I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but you can see that the sills are all 2x, depending upon the size of them. Are those the actual 2x or are they the prefab ones with the wool?
No, the ones that wool are on the top.
Okay.
These are 2 layers of 3/4 inch plywood, and we pre-wrapped them in the shop.
So I have been nothing but impressed with Harry, because he took this entire building and did a takeoff on it. And you could see how there's like a million different sized windows in here, where he went in, figured out the dimension that the rough opening is going to be, made all of these 2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood laminated together, made the sills, wrapped them in his shop here, brought them out on site, and actually installed them. So that way that bottom ledger piece was prefabbed off site, brought them on site, and connected everything with our Dimonic 100. And the other really impressive thing, I've seen a lot of 430 jobs across North America, and I think that Harry's job here is one of the best that I've ever seen in terms of attention to detail and paying attention to the minutia, how much overlap that we have on each side. If you look at just how nice and neat everything is, you don't see this on every job. I just want to give Harry definitely a tip of the hat with the quality of work that we're seeing here.
That's great. I can see the detailing on the fastener heads. It looks appropriate. You know who wasn't the best detailer, Paul? Dante. So don't do as he does. Just listen to Dante. Don't watch his installation skills. I'm just teasing you, Dante.
It's getting better over the years.
You did. Well, I know, Harry, so tell me about your experience and how technology has changed. I think we have a drone. You have a drone that you utilize in your work.
Yeah, we take drone footage to keep track of all the buildings. You know, then we go back and look at them. It just makes it a lot easier for production. And then, you know, we could check the quality, make sure it's up to par.
That's great. That's great. So when did you start doing that?
Probably about 2 years ago.
I
It's
think
really
that,
cool if you think about it, right? You see general contractors and consultants using drones, but installers using their own drones to make sure that their quality of work is up to par. You don't need to mobilize scaffold. You can come in after the fact. I think that that's something that we're going to continue to see more and more of in our field. But I just, again, think it's really cool to see a contractor actually taking that level of onus on making sure that everything is done right.
that's great. And I know you shared a couple videos with us here. So we've got one, and I thought I would just show it now. Oh, 1 second. I need to make sure there's no sound. There we go. So what I thought we could do, guys, is we could just talk about it and talk about what we're seeing.
That's area A when the first footprint. You know, the footers are in and they're putting the gravel down for the concrete floor. That's there's area A also. That's the footprint after they got the concrete block and the steel, the skeleton steel up before we actually start. This is what it looks like before we start. And then coming up will kind of help out the next. But I don't think people realize what's involved, you know, before you even start. Then we put the studs up, then the exo air to seal the building in. And then the window installer will come behind us.
It's great.
Those are all the steps you take.
There's
I got
that.
radius there.
The product is really nice to work with. I mean, if you ever install Den's glass, you would never have a problem installing this product.
The interesting thing is Harry called me yesterday and he's like, hey, I've got this other job that I'm trying to bid. Can we work out some pricing and whatnot on it? So clearly he's definitely seeing value in working with Tremco and using a system like this.
Paul likes to ask that, right? What your experience has been, and are you interested again?
Well, I think Marcy, if we know when we got it right, that if you adopt something, you keep going back to it. And that's why I always like to ask that question. And the good news on 430, everybody we've ever spoken to is always feels strongly once they have that first experience. It's just a better way to build.
And I love how you adapted your building by doing the prefab of the rough opening, and doing that in your shop. It looks, I mean, the detail on this project looks great. Harry, early on, we would animate buildings because we didn't have a lot of buildings to show. I mean, his joint detailing looks like we animated it, because that's how perfect it looks.
The other really cool part that we failed to mention earlier is we actually are using 12-foot panels here. They're 12 or 10s? 12-foot panels, where we worked with our partner USG in this endeavor to make some custom sized panels for Harry, where the panels, yes, I mean, they're ultralight technology and a little bit heavier than an 8-foot panel, but they're also helping them be much more efficient because of the fact that the panel's covering an extra 4x4, 16 square feet per panel.
And they're not hard to work with. Just the guys were a little leery about the 12-foot panels, but once they start handling them, they're good. You can handle them. You don't have to worry about them cracking or breaking. They go extremely well, and they cover a lot more area at one time.
And we've heard that where, because it's coated with that membrane, that the glass mat is somewhat sealed in now with a membrane, so it's a little easier to handle from that perspective too. Did you guys have that same observation?
Yes. When we were going to move it around, we were leery. We thought at first, because we never used your product, that we'd have to use a pallet.
Yeah.
But we found out it picks right up, and it's very durable, easy to move, easy to work with. And the system in general is I've put spray on air barrier. I've put different types of the stick on, and this system here just seems to be quicker and easier to install and be done with it. And when you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
You're not pulling back. You put it up, it's done.
Well, I think that's what when we look at technologies, we want to make sure it saves time without compromising performance. So we got that, and we know that. Yeah.
And we often have some really aggressive time objectives.
Yeah.
But I think 430 is probably as innovative as we've ever gotten about shortening the cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Harry, so you're looking at another job. So this is definitely something you'd want to continue using. Had a good experience with Dante.
Oh, I love Dante. He's a really easy guy to work with. It just, I don't look, I don't get to like a lot of people, but he's so easy to talk to and work with. It's just very, very likable guy.
You guys heard that, right?
And I like to work with him.
I turned it off. I stopped recording.
And Harry, it's kind of cool that Dante's the guy that, he kind of led the team to put all that together, right? So you're the proverbial horse's mouth is right there.
We call it his Tremco baby, his Trem baby.
Yeah.
Well, and that's great. I think, Dante in this new role and having all this experience, I'm sure you're in great hands as it relates to all that help. But he's just another great example, Harry. Paul is dedicated, in your role to have those feet on the street.
Yeah,
which is Dante.
I think the other cool thing, Dante, with you being in the field now is there's always going to be what's the next generation, where are we going? And it's kind of cool having Dante out there, Marcy, because he's pretty smart about where we could go. And I look forward to Dante saying, hey, here's what we got to do. Here's where the system has to go.
That's it. That's great.
keep making things better.
That's
I've
great.
got a couple ideas that we could talk about offline now, but
Good. That's awesome. That's great. Well, any final thoughts from either of you?
the other reason why this project in particularly, in addition to working with Harry, is so cool is because the masonry contractor is another contractor that I have a very good working relationship with and do a lot of work with, doing our flashings and peel and sticks here. And then we finally have the window contractor who is doing the window connections with all of our Tremco accessories. So for everywhere that we have the Secure Rock Extra 430, we're completing that building envelope with the Tremco building envelope. So it's kind of a neat project to get to develop the relationship with Harry, but also leverage the existing relationship that I have with some of the other customers in the market and creating that Tremco building. So I figured Paul would be happy to hear that as well.
That's great.
I am. I like it.
We like to be able to provide that, as much of those touch points and connections on that building as much as we can. So it looks like you have a nice successful project here, and I'm sure many more to come. So we look forward to having you both on again. Harry, thank you so much. Nice meeting you. I'll have to come out there and see you soon. And Dante, safe travels when you make it back to Cleveland.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Honestly, that was pretty cool having Dante on with 430.
It was. I think it was just a nice way to gather, that experience that he had in every step of the way, doing the adhesion testing, doing the system testing, and now he's out there, working directly with the customer.
And I look forward to hearing where he thinks we should go next. And of course, now he can just say where he wants to go.
Yeah.
Others have to leave this time.
Yes, he can successfully hand it off, so that'll be great, but that's for sure. So, well, thanks everybody for joining us this week. We're off to another location for next Friday and throughout the entire month of July.
Any clues for where we're going next week?
Not gonna give up a clue yet.
Okay.
No clues yet.
All right.
You have to wait until next week, Paul.
All right, Marcy.
Okay, well, thanks everybody. Be safe.
Thanks. Take care.